Mr. Speaker, sir, I move that the bill on our Act to establish the Federal Capital Territory Orphanage Registration and Regulatory Agency to regulate the establishment and administration of orphanages and other related institutions in the Federal Capital Territory of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and for related matters now be read the second time. I so move.
I don't know. Maybe I move to the next sentence.
I remain Honorable Cook, Oludodo Abigade Saka, speaking for the people of Ilorin East, Ilorin South Federal Constituency. I'm from Kwara State, State of Harmony. I rise to be raised by my friend Honorable Adijare to be read for second time. I so move. I so second.
Honorable Adijare, do I put the question you want to add flesh?
Mr. Speaker, thank you so much. I just want to add that this bill is very apt and very germane, and it's just to arrest the issue of illegalities that arise from orphanages, homes that are not registered, that are putting up baby factories, that are abusing women and making them to get pregnant repeatedly, and these owners of this home will now sell the babies. And we've recognized that we don't have laws in our status books to govern the administration and registration of these orphanages in Federal Capital Territory. And this law will surely do this, and we will put to rest all these illegalities in our Federal Capital Territory. I so submit. Thank you.
Respected colleagues, you want to contribute? No, if you want to contribute, why should I stop you? You are Deputy Whip of the House.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I am Kiruka Onyejo. I represent the good people of Isukwatu Mundo, Federal Constituency. I'm from Abia State. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, and I think this is a very good piece of legislation. And like he said, this is to curb trafficking and all kind of things that people do these days. Baby factories that, of course, we've had over the years where people open up a place and they say they are doing orphanages only for them to recruit our young girls from school and kidnap them, so to speak, in quote, and house them in those homes and allow them to get pregnant, and then they start selling those babies. And I believe that this bill, when it's passed, is going to curb this menace. And there shall be sanctions for people who do this kind of things, because if there are no regulations, if there is no approval, and people keep opening up all sorts of things and then start giving out babies in terms of that they're adopting when they don't have the powers to do so, then that's why, as we speak today, you have a lot of rituals, you have a lot of things going on, because children are all over the place from people who are not supposed even to handle them. So I believe that this bill will help a lot in curbing this menace of baby factories and child kidnapping. And of course, you see from investigation, we've seen that these people are not even trained. All sorts of people just have a bacha and they bring girls and they quarantine them there and have them have people get them pregnant, and they sell babies, and they call it orphanages. I think this will curb the menace. So on this note, I support that this bill get all the support from this House so that we pass through second reading. I so submit.
Respected colleagues, the question now is that the bill be read the second time. Those in favor say aye. Against any, the ayes have it. Clerks is invited to do the long title of the bill.
Right Honorable Speaker, honorable members, a bill for an act to establish the Federal Capital Territory Opponent Registration and Regulatory Agency to regulate the establishment and administration of orphanages and other related institutions in Federal Capital Territory of Federal Republic of Nigeria and for related matters. Second reading.
Bill referred to Committee on Commerce. Colleagues, bill referred to Committee on Federal Capital Territory, Area Councils and Auxiliary Matters. And as protocol, the 10th order of the day is a motion on need to increase awareness of birth registration in Nigeria, standing in the name of Honorable Bashiru Dawodu. Honorable Dawodu is invited to move the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Respected colleagues, I am Honorable Dr. Bashiru Dawodu. I represent Oshodi, Isolo, Constituency 1. Mr. Speaker, I'm from Lagos State. I rise today to raise this motion on the need to increase the awareness of birth registration in Nigeria. The House notes that the National Population Commission has only managed to register the birth of 57% of children under the age of 5, thus making it difficult for government to plan adequately for their medical, nutritional, and other needs. Also note that the federal government needs to know not only how many health centers are needed in the country, but the population growth across the country to correctly estimate the medications to be imported and the tariffs. Concerned about how a country without credible statistics can progress, as registration of birth is the most basic requirement in planning for children. Worried that when a country fails to follow through with the established pattern, the young ones are exposed to dangers and the public health and economic planning teams cannot cope. Cognizant that knowing the age distribution of the country's population makes it easier to plan, knowing how many will be of school age in what year, providing adequate classrooms and school infrastructure. Disturbed that after 60 years of independence, Nigeria still does not have a reliable census figure for our children. Resolves to urge the federal, state, and local government, as well as traditional and religious leaders, to join in the sensitization of the public and importance of birth registration. Also urge the federal government to conduct a study on the effective penalties for the parents who fail to register the birth of their children. Mandate the Committee on Population and Information, National Orientation, Ethics and Values to ensure compliance. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Seconder, Honorable Ahmed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, my distinguished colleagues. My name is Honorable Musa Umar Garu, member of Zantungozako Federal Constituency. I'm from Kano State. I rise to second the motion ably moved by my honorable colleagues. I so second.
Honorable, you want us to put the question, or you want to do the debate? Put the question. Honorable, you want to speak against or? Okay. Yes, sir. Yes.
Thank you, the Right Honorable Speaker, my respected colleagues. I am Honorable Chris Emeka Azubogo. I represent the good people of Nnewi North, Nnewi South, and Ekwusigo Federal Constituency from Anambra State. Mr. Speaker, I rise to make a proposal that there will be an amendment to this motion by adding birth and death registration, in the sense that we as a nation must have the right demography for planning, like mentioned in the motion. The essence of having the right data, records, and demography for planning is to enhance governance. The challenge we're having with adequate planning and provision of facilities and infrastructures for governance is because we do not possess the right records. And the registration of birth and death is critical tool in national planning. And that's why I am supporting this motion and praying that we make this amendment, because we will ask the state government, the federal government, and the local government to ensure the compliance of registration of birth and death, because it will enhance our national planning and it will help us to achieve greater results in provision of services, both social, educational, health, security. And these are the core things that we use to plan both economic and social services. I so
Seconder to his amendment. Yes, sir. Kogi.
Okay, your own is okay. So, my name is Shaba Ibrahim. I am from Kogi State. I represent Lokoja, Kogi Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I rise to second the amendment ably proposed by my colleague. I so second. Thank you.
Those in favor of the amendment say aye. Aye. Against say nay. That's have it. Maybe, Honorable Sir, can you take a closer look of your own recommendation too? What do you intend to achieve there? That you urge the federal government to conduct a study on effective penalties for parents. Study. No, I'm not asking. I'm asking the mover of the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The challenge we have in Nigeria primarily are cultural values and religious values. So I don't think it's appropriate to come up with an arbitrary penalty for the parents who don't register the birth of their children. I think we should come to a consensus on what the penalty should be if you don't register your child after birth. So I think also it'd be more effective if there is a study in that regard to figure out what is the appropriate penalty if there is no registration of birth. That's what I mean, sir. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I thought you should have concluded by, after conducting the study, maybe subjecting to legislative intervention, because if you just do the study and you leave it, for what purpose are you doing that? I don't know. I thought that would have been most appropriate. Yes, Honorable Doctor.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Honorable colleagues, I remain Honorable Dr. Haruna Michelia. I speak for the people of Askra Overhaul, Federal Constituency of Borno State. Mr. Speaker, I stand to just give the House information. Actually, this is a good motion, but I want to put it on record that actually all these things are in place through the National Population Commission. If you go to any teaching hospital, general hospital, or functional primary healthcare centers, you will find signs pointing to the office of the National Population Commission in those establishments, apart from some located in traditional leaders' houses where this registration can take place. What is really lacking is the awareness, as he pointed out in his second resolution. And I think it is that one that needs to be emphasized. District and village committees should be sensitized. Religious leaders should be sensitized so that these registrations, as encapsulated in the Act of the National Population Commission, should take place. And instead of punishment, I will strongly advise it should be a carrot thing, that traditional leaders and community leaders that are seen to be actively doing it and showing data should be encouraged by the government of either local, state, or federal government. I so submit. Thank you.
Thank you. Those in favor of the motion say aye. As amended. Against say nay. That's have it. Respected colleagues, the 11th order of the day is a motion on need to investigate the alleged disappearance of the transit buses provided by the federal government for transport services within the Federal Capital Territory, standing down Honorable Ikenna. Elizabeth Anya, Honorable Elizabeth is invited to move the motion. Honorable Engineer.
Sir.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, respectable colleagues. My name is Engineer Ikenna Elezianya, FNSE. I represent the good people of Owerri Municipal, Owerri North, and Owerri West Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I'm from Imo State. My motion is a need to investigate the disappearance of the transit buses provided by the federal government for transport services within the Federal Capital Territory. The House knows that the provision of long buses in Abuja, apart from creating jobs and generating revenue, is targeted at alleviating the sufferings of the citizens, as it was designed to ease the commuting challenges of civil and public servants to and from their offices to ensure effective discharge of their duties. Also note that between 2003 and 2007, 5,000 buses were provided by the government to assist and complement the efforts of the government workers in accessing various offices within the Federal Capital Territory. Further note that between 2010 and 2014, the federal government, in a bid to effectively improve public service delivery in line with global best practices, provided an additional 5,000 buses for the transportation of civil servants. Concerned that all the buses amounting to 10,000 provided by the government are gradually disappearing from the roads and are not being effectively managed by the FCT administration, and as such, not achieving its core objective, which is alleviating the transport challenges of the masses, especially in these trying times. Also concerned that the citizens who are denied these services are daily faced with the risk of riding in commercial vehicles operated by kidnappers, armed robbers, and bandits. Cognizant of the need to recover the buses and make them operational to serve the core objectives for which they are provided, the House resolves as follows: to mandate the Committee on the Federal Capital Territory to investigate the alleged disappearance of transit buses provided by the federal government for transport services within the Federal Capital Territory, to recover them and report back within 3 weeks for further legislative action. Mr. Speaker, I so move. Thank you.
Seconder. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Okudile Christopher Ezewankwo is my name. I speak for Rumba North, Rumba South Federal Constituency, Mr. Speaker, from Anambra State. Mr. Speaker, I rise to second the motion, every move by Honorable Nezia. I say second. Thank you.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Against say nay. The ayes have it. The 12th order of the day is a motion on need to replace and secure stolen manhole covers on the roads in the Federal Capital Territory, standing in the name of Honorable Musa Mohammed Pali. Honorable Pali is invited to move the motion. Honorable Pali is not on the floor.
Mr. Speaker, Honorable Musa Pali is not on the floor. I move that the motion be stepped down by the people of the House. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Motion stepped down by the leader of the House. Respected colleagues, the 13th order of the day is consideration of the report of the Committee on Customs and Excise on the issue from the Statutory Revenue Fund of the Federal of Nigeria Customs Service in the total sum of 369,136,900,650 naira only, out of which 108,853,901,275 naira 62 kobo only is for personnel costs. 45,896,807,993 naira 81 kobo only is for overhead costs, and 214,294,269,945 naira 73 kobo only is for capital projects. For the Nigerian Customs Service for the year ending 31st December 2022, all members will recall that the report was laid on Thursday, 7 April 2022 on Leke Joseph Abejide will move for its consideration.
Thank you, Your Excellency, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Leke Abejide is my name. I represent the good people of Yagba Federal Constituency. I'm from Kogi State. I rise that the House do consider the report of the Committee on Customs and Excise on the issue from the Statutory Revenue Fund of Nigeria Customs Service in the total sum of 369 billion 136 million 90,650 naira only, out of which 108 billion 853 million 901,275 naira 62 kobo only is for personnel costs. 45 billion 896 million 807,993 naira 81 kobo only is for overhead costs, and 214 billion 294 million 269,000
945 naira, 73 kobo only is for capital project of the Nigeria Customs Service for the year ending 31st December 2022. I so move, Honorable Speaker, honorable colleagues.
Yes, sir.
My powerful speaker, my leader in the house, respected colleagues, my name is Honorable Taufik Abimbola Agilesoro, and I'm representing Ife Federal Constituency in Osun State. I'm from the source, Mr. Speaker. I rise to second the report, heavily reported by my Hebu Chairman Custom Abejide. I so second, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Against say nay. That's a bit. Honorable Leader, move that the House do resolve into Committee of Supply to consider the report.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
This is a very sole function, exclusively reserved for the Leader of the House. Thank you.
I'm not sure whether the Chairman House Committee on Customs has any contemplation to that effect. Are you contemplating that sole responsibility of this office? Is that why you are wearing red cap today? Is that why you are wearing a red cap here in confrontation to this all-powerful office? Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I thank you, my respected colleagues. I rise to move as directed by the Speaker that this House do resolve to the Committee of the Whole or Committee of Supply to consider the report. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I respectfully move. Thank you.
Deputy Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and my distinguished colleagues. I am Comrade Peter Ohiozoje Akwatasin, MNI. I represent the great people of Akoko Edo Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I am from Edo State. I rise to second the motion as ably moved by the Leader of the House that this House will resolve to Committee of Supply to consider a report. Mr. Speaker, I so move.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Against say nay. That's have it. House is hereby resolving to Committee of Supply to consider the report. Respected colleagues, the report to be considered is the Committee on Customs and exercise on the issue from the Statutory Revenue Fund of the Nigerian Customs Service in the total sum of 369,136,650 naira only, out of which 108,853,901,000 275 naira, 62 kobo only is for personnel costs. 45,896,807,993 naira, 81 kobo only is for overhead cost, and 214,294,269,945 naira, 73 kobo only is for capital project of the Nigerian Customs Service for the year ending 31st December 2022. I now invite Honorable Leki BJD to give the synopsis of the report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, honorable colleagues. What we are considering is the budget of Nigeria Customs Service for the year ending 2022. And in this budget, we have total expenditure of 369 billion, 136 million, 90,650 naira. And the income for this expenditure is taken from the 7% collection of duty and 2% VAT share that custom collect on behalf of the FIRS in a year. And there's something we call comprehensive import supervision scheme. That is, every import that comes into the country, there's 1% FOB charges by the 10 service providers. But since they have been wound down, custom is one doing the job. The president, in his own magnanimity, approved 60% of this amount for custom to do infrastructures. And also, there is a retained earning. It's not actually an income. This earning is for projects that they couldn't execute, and the budget that is currently running that is going to end 31st May this year, that's about 114.3 billion of that amount. So this is where the custom get their income. And out of this, there's going to be 108 billion to be spent for personnel, to pay salaries of all the officers operating that are going to work and get us the 3.1 trillion targets given to them for this year. And there is overhead costs to maintain all their infrastructures, the vehicles, their buildings, about 45.8 billion of that. Custom across all borders and ports, officers are lacking in the area of offices and accommodation. And that is why they have earmarked 214.2 billion for this capital project for this year. This is all about this budget, sir. And last year, they were given the target of 1.678 trillion to generate for the federal government of Nigeria, but they actually generated 2.24 trillion. So there is excess. From this excess, their own share from that excess is 27 billion, which is reflected here. And that is what they put as part of their capital project this year. This is all about the budget. Thank you, sir.
Although the wise money. Respected colleagues, recommendation 1, recommendation 2, recommendation 3, recommendation 7, 8, recommendation 9, recommendation 10, long title. Honorable Leki.
Yes, sir.
What is the secret?
The secret is because we are working as a team. All of us are in one team, so there's no outsider here. All my committee members are seated. We have about 60 members.
Thank you. and they are here in their numbers.
Yes, sir.
Hafiz, the letter had already been announced. Leader gave us the letter, and that was the first announcement that was done. I think you can leave it to.
Yes, please, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for your protection.
Leader moved that the House revert to Plenary to report progress on the report of the customer service.
Thank you, Mr.
Former controller.
Chairman. My honorable colleagues, I rise to move that this House do revert to Plenary to report progress on the report from Custom and Excise. Mr. Speaker and Mr. Chairman, honorable members, I so respectfully move.
Deputy Leader.
Mr. Chair and my dear colleagues, I am Comrade Peter who is the J Party in MNI. I represent Akoko Edo people. I am from Edo State. Mr. Chair, I support the motion, rather I second the motion that the committee of the will revert to Plenary to report progress. I say second.
Is it getting hotter? Leader, Deputy Leader. Is it getting hotter?
Sorry?
I mean, you should understand, is it getting hotter? Because
you mean the temperature? It's quite cool here.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Against say nay. That's have it. House is hereby to invite Plenary to report progress. Respected colleagues, the House and the Committee of Supply considered the report of the Committee on Custom and Excise on the issue from the Statutory Revenue Fund of Nigerian Customs Service in the total sum of 369,136,959 naira only, out of which 108,853,901,275 naira 62 kobo only is for personnel costs. 45,896,807,993 naira 81 kobo only is for overhead costs. 294,269,945 naira 73 kobo only is for capital projects of the Nigerian Customs Service for the year ending 31st December 2022 and approve recommendations 1 to 10 and the long title of the report. Leader, move that the House do adopt the report of the Committee of Supply.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, my respected colleagues. I remain Ado Dogwa, representing Dogwa to Wada Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I am from Kano State. I rise to move that this House do adopt the report of the Committee on Supply as read by the Speaker in the chair. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I so move. Thank you.
Deputy Leader.
Mr. Speaker, my distinguished colleagues, once again I'm Comrade Peter Ohiozo J. Akwatasi MNI. I represent Akoko Edo Federal Constituency. I am from Edo State. Mr. Speaker, I second the motion for the adoption of the report of the committee. I so second.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Against say nay. That's have it. Clerk. The 14th order of the day is consisting of a bill for an act to establish Federal Medical Center, thereby Gombe State, and for related matters. All members will call the bill was committed to Committee of the Whole on Wednesday, 17 March 2022. The leader will move for its consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, honorable members. I rise to move for the consideration of a bill for an act to establish Federal Medical Center Deba, Gombe State, and for related matters, HB 1847, a Senate bill. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I so move.
Azaria.
What are you doing? Mr. Speaker, distinguished honorable colleagues, Honorable Victor Melat Anzaria, I represent the people of Balanga Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I rise to support the motion as heavily moved by the leader. I so second.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Against any? The ayes have it. The 15th order of the day is constitutional report of the Committee on Custom and Exercise on a bill for an act to repeal the Custom and Exercise Management Act (CAP) C45 Laws of Nigeria 2004 and enact the Nigerian Customs Service Bill and for related matters. Honourable members recall the report was laid on Wednesday, 6 April 2022. Honourable Leke Joseph Abijede will move for its consideration.
Thank you, Your Excellency, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues. My name is Leke Abijede. I represent the good people of Yabafra constituency. I'm from Kogi State. I move that the House do consider the report of the Committee on Customs and Excise on a bill for an act to repeal the Custom and Excise Management Act (CAP) C45 Law of the Federation of Nigeria 2004 and enact Nigeria Customs Service Bill and for related matters HB 1729 and approve the recommendations therein. I so move.
It should not be Kogi Kwara affair. Yes, Oledo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues. I remain Oledo Cook Abdul speaking for the people of Ilorin in the South Federal Constituency. I'm from Kwara State of Aberdeen. Mr. Speaker, I rise to second the motion raised by my friend, my neighbor, Leke Abijede, as to second.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Against any? The ayes have it. Respected colleagues, the 16th order of the day is consideration of two reports of the Committee on Tertiary Education and Services. Honorable Aminu Suleiman will move for his consideration.
Mr. Speaker, unless his deputy is here to take the reports, I move that since Honorable Aminu Goro is not on the floor, we step down the consideration of the two reports. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
I know you have interest in this report. I beg of your understanding and careful indulgence that we'll take it tomorrow. Thank you. Constitutional report step down by the leave of the House.
I remain.
The 17th order of the day, 18, sorry.
Speaker, we have stepped down 16 and 17. We are going to 18.
If I don't have 18 on my own. It's not here. It's not in your guide. What happened? Was it a bill that was introduced later? Respected colleagues, the 18th order of the day is consideration of report on the Committee on Health Institutions on a bill for an act to provide the legal framework to establish Federal Medical Center, Fufu, Kwara State, to provide for the minister to provide for the manner of running the hospital, including establishment of board of management, chief medical director, and other staff, and provide for discipline of staff and for related matters. Standing no Honorable Pascal Obi. Pascal Obi is invited to move for the consideration of the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Pascal Obi is not on the floor. And unless his deputy is on the floor to his deputy.
I don't know. Are you sure this report was late? I'm asking him, Chairman Roots.
Yeah, it was stepped down.
No, laying first. Was the report late?
No, it was late, Mr. Speaker.
When?
It was laid on the 29th of September, 2021.
Well, you need to reconcile your records.
It was laid on 29th of September. So,
if it was laid on since September 2021.
You know, we have been stepping down a lot. For most of the time, he has not been on the floor.
So I will beg of you to find a means of communicating with him so that we'll be able to do justice to members' bills who are lying there.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker, if you can recall, by the resolution of the House, I was asked to officially communicate to him the displeasure of the House.
Get across his deputy. If you can't get across his deputy, of course the leadership will sit tomorrow morning and take a position as to what should happen in terms of the reports before his committee. It is our own function to protect every member interest in this chamber. So we shall do that. Thank you. Consideration of the report step down by the leader of the House. Leader, move that the House will resolve into the committee of the whole to consider the report.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My respected colleagues, I rise to move that this House will resolve to committee of the whole to consider report. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I so move.
Deputy Leader.
Mr. Speaker, my dear colleagues, Comrade Peter Patterson, I second the motion that this House will resolve to committee of the whole to consider report. Mr. Speaker, I so second.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Against say nay. The ayes have it. The House is hereby dissolving to committee of the whole to consider report. Respected colleagues, respected colleagues, the bill to be considered for an act to establish Federal Medical Center Deba, Gombe State, and for related matters. I now invite the leader to give the synopsis of the report. Sadona. Whether you want to give the synopsis report is an essential.
No, I think, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chairman, honorable members, I think it's a straightforward bill for consideration. And being an establishment bill, Mr. Speaker, I will plead with my respected colleagues to please allow the consideration go without any hitch. Thank you.
Thank you. Clause 1, Clause 2, Clause 3, Clause 4. Clause 13, Clause 14, Clause 15, Clause 16, Clause 18. Clause 19, Clause 20. Clause 23. Clause 26, Clause 27, Clause 28, the schedules, long title. Explanatory memoranda, long title. Respected colleagues, the second report to consider is that of the first report to consider that of Committee on Tertiary Education. No, sorry. The first, second report to consider that Committee on Custom and Excise on a bill for an act to repeal the Nigerian Custom and Excise Management Act, Cap C45, Laws of Nigeria 2004, and enact the Nigerian Custom Service Bill and for related matters. And now invite Honorable Joseph Abejide to give the synopsis of the report.
Thank you, Your Excellency, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues. This is my name. Once again, I represent the good people of Yagba Federal Constituency. I'm from Kogi State. The bill before us is a bill for an act to repeal the Customs and Excise Management Act, Cap C45, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, and to enact the Nigeria Customs Service Establishment Bill 2022 and other related matters. The passage of this bill is a step in the right direction, especially in view of the fact that the bill is the first major reforms in the Nigeria Customs Service legal framework in 63 years. For the past 63 years, there has never been any major reform that will repeal and reenact. It is only amendment, and which is 2004, the last one. The old act has become obsolete in today's competitive global world and also ineffective operation of the Nigeria Customs Service. A review of this act seeks to reposition Nigeria Customs Service with modern reality, efficiency service delivery. Full automation of Nigeria Customs Service with modern reliability to facilitate trade, improve revenue generation, and more importantly, expose illegal importation of arms and ammunition into the country. All this will be made possible when this bill becomes an act. Notable legislative initiatives in this bill are as follows. 1A, collation of all customs and excise legislation into a single compendium of Custom and Excise Act to facilitate easy reference, easy knowledge-driven custom and excise policies. B, this bill, when it becomes an act, will position Nigeria Customs Service to be financially stable, and this will enable Nigeria Customs to recruit the required number of officers they need to man our porous borders stations. The Nigeria Customs Service currently have 15,349 officers instead of 30,000 officers needed for the service to function optimally. The current 7% cost of collection from the duties payment is not enough to pay salaries, not to talk of improving infrastructures. For this reason, this bill provides for the funding system based on 4% FOB, according to international best practice, to address funding problems and to reposition the service for improved efficiency and service delivery. As such, 7% collection of duty shall cease to exist the moment this bill becomes law. D, making the act more readable to the understanding of the principal stakeholders, thereby deviating from hitherto strict legal drafting of the aged. E, providing stiffer punishment for offenders to act as deterrence for serious economic crimes of customs and excise oriented, thereby encouraging more revenue in the area of payment of fines. F, provision of legislative input into the appointment of Controller General of Customs, similar to other like Inspector General of Police, Nigerian Immigration Service, and the service chiefs. This is based on the economic importance and security implications the occupier connotes to the national economic and security development. G, provision of the arbitration panel for the purpose of dispute to reduce multiplicity of cases at the court of law relating to custom issues, a situation whereby dispute arose between Nigeria Customs Service and stakeholders, and the same Nigeria Customs Service that will set up panel mainly comprising of custom officers to judge, then there is no justice in this case. Finally, because of our time, Your Excellency, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, the aforesaid development injected into this bill is sufficient to include economic development, facilitation of trade, and greater revenue generation in tandem with global and target given to the Nigeria Customs Service in view of fiscal independence and autonomy our economy is yearning for. The most innovative inclusion in this bill is the objectives of eradicating problem of corruption, fraud, and malpractice, together with inefficiencies and ineffectiveness in the operation of customs. Finally, this bill is in tone with ICT development, which is going to give the service the ICT it demands for its operation in line with international best practice. This will ensure a model that can think 1,000 times faster than human beings do. I thank you so much, Mr. Speaker and honorable colleagues.
Honorable Leki, thank you very much. Colleagues, clause 1 to 25, 26 to 50, (51 to 60, 61 to 70, 71 to 90, 91 to 120, 121 to 150, 150 to 175, 175 to 76 to 200, 200 to 230, 230 to 233. Explanatory memoranda. Long title. Lekki, what is the secret? The Honorable and Leader of the House, kindly move that we revert to plenary to report progress.
Mr. Chairman, I would rather like to ask that this consideration be taken at micro level, close by close, not macro. The macro approach adopted, I'm not sure.
Well, I did that believing and appreciating the fact that he worked with his own committee members. And the explanation he gave in terms of what we stand to benefit as a country matters a lot in terms of our revenue generation, creating employment for our teeming youth. And so we need not to waste further time. Considering the fact that the number of years passed that this bill have not been able to attend, this is one of the milestones, I believe, of this major, this assembly to be able to pass this. So I would so appreciate it. Thank you.
So, Mr. Chairman, I stand to be guided. And I would like to say that the secret is not about members, it's about the chairman of the committee. I therefore move that this House do revert to plenary, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chairman, to report progress. Thank you.
Do you allow PDP to decimal so that they can also be part of the history?
Yes, yeah. It's a friendly PDP representation here.
Okay.
Friendly PDP man.
Goni, what's your contribution? Your contribution? Yes, sir. No, he should contribute. Yes.
Mr. Chairman, honorable colleagues, my name is Honorable Gideon Goni. I represent Kaura Federal Constituency. I come from Kaduna State. Mr. Chairman, I rise to say I concur with all what you have said.
Thank you. I thought you should expatiate further that what your party were able to do in terms of PIA, Karma, and today we are witnessing, and even the beautiful electoral act that we have presented to the nation, that you should thank the government of President Muhammadu Buhari and APC and appreciate our work. Those in favor of the motion say aye. Against say nay. That's how it. House is ever to bad plan to report progress. What did you say, Goni? I thought you were saying something. Thank you. And my brother, Honorable Mutu, will also appreciate. Thank you. Respected colleagues, the House and the Committee of the Whole considered the report on the bill for an act to establish Federal Medical Center, Deba, Gombe State, and for later matters approved clauses 1 to 28. The schedules, the long title, the explanatory memoranda of the report. The House and the Committee of the Whole considered the report of the Committee on Custom and Exercise on a bill for an act to repeal the Custom and Exercise Management Act C45 Laws of Federation Nigeria 2004 and enact the Nigerian Customs Service Bill and for later matters and approve clauses 1 to 283. The schedule, the long title, the explanatory memoranda of the report. Leader, move for the adoption of the report.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable members, I rise to move that the report of the Committee of the Whole on on the report on custom and excise be adopted. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I so move.
Deputy Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My dear colleagues, Comrade Peter, who has a Jack Patterson, MNI, I rise to second the motion as ably moved by the Leader of the House. I so second, Mr. Speaker.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Against say nay. The ayes have it. My leader and our leader, colleagues, I also honestly want to appreciate the spirit at which members are working together collectively. This is one of the demonstration of how the joint task force is working. And I thank you very much. May God continue to guide and lead us right. Thank you very much in the interest of our nation. House is, can you move for the adjournment of the House to tomorrow? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise as leader of the 9th House of Representatives, Mr. Speaker, to also join you.
And the Sardauna Rano.
And obviously the Sardauna, the first Sardauna of Rano, in the history of Rano Kingdom, Mr. Speaker, to also join you in thanking my respected colleagues for really putting their hands on deck in moving forward the legislative agenda of the Femi-led House of Representatives as being engendered by nation building, a joint task. And on that note, Mr. Speaker, I would like to, as directed, move that this House do adjourn till tomorrow, Wednesday, the 13th day of April, 2022 by 11 a.m. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I so move. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Deputy Leader.
Mr. Speaker, my dear colleagues, once again, I am Comrade Peter Ohioze J. Akpatasin, MNI. I represent the people of Akoko Edo Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I am from the great Edo State. I second the motion for the adjournment of this House till 2 o'clock tomorrow by 11 o'clock tomorrow.
I did ask you whether the situation is getting hotter. Colleagues, those in favor that we adjourn the House tomorrow, 11 a.m. say aye. Against say nay. That's have it. No, the Lent period has passed, I suppose so he may not be fasting. House is hereby adjourned to tomorrow, 11 a.m.